Happy Wednesday, May 7th. Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Wednesday, so happy Declaration Day. Today we'll be talking about the trades for ULTY or ULTY, YieldMax Ultra Option Income Strategy ETF. And then we'll also talk about the different distribution announcements that got announced today. So we'll start off just big picture. ULTY went to $5.96 during the regular market and up another 6 cents after hours. In general, not as crazy of a day as far as stock movement. We had a couple that moved about 5%. Hims and Hers has been on a tear lately, but the biggest mover was Upstart at about 9.5% loss. So, but we will go into the details. Let's look. Let's start with overall what the stocks did. Okay. Starting off with AST Space Mobile. They went up about 1%, or roughly $54,000 in value. This is the first time watching these videos, so on the day of, I will update the closing prices so you see the change in market value, and then after the video is over, I update the pricing on all the holdings. So these aren't the true market values, but we'll be able to find it at the bottom. So I talk about trades today and updated prices, and then once it's over, I update all the holdings and keep on moving forward. That way on a daily basis we can see how much change we made. Okay, Alibaba went down almost 3.5% or $310,000. And again, so these are also helping move the options that are sold further out of the money, which works out well for us as far as collecting the most premium, right? So we've already collected the premium, but we need it to end out of the money in order to get to keep that money and not have to spend money to buy it back to close. Coinbase went down a fraction, 0.17%, about $15,000. Carvana went up roughly the same, 0.14% or $18,000. Options are still looking good on all of these so far. First Solar went up 2.38% or $135,000. These calls are still out of the money with 2 trading days left. GameStop that went down 0.12% or $9,000. Sorry, I don't know how much it carries over. I'm hiding out in the basement. Got home from kids' practices. Everybody's taking showers, so you're hearing water running around. I'm trying to just get this video out before bed. All right, Hims and Hers has just continued to keep on going and blowing through. Even they've already, took the loss, moved their calls up, and these are now in the money as well. So they went up 5.82%. So if you own Hims and Hers outright, you are loving life right now. But they're up over $750,000 today in value. So Robinhood went up 2.67% or $282,000, and their call is just about in the money. So we need them to stay where they are or go down a little. IONQ went down almost 1% or $91,000. Calls are still looking good. They actually had earnings after hours and went up slightly, but not breaking 30. So they're still out of the money. Mara, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, went up 1.37% or $112,000. Calls still 8% out of the money. MP Materials lost 4.33% or almost $300,000, and that's actually helped these calls that were getting real close. They're now 5.5% out of the money. MicroStrategy had a nice day, 1.78% increase or a little over $250,000, but the calls are still doing okay, 5% out of the money. Cloudflare lost roughly 0.5% or almost $32,000 in value. Calls are 5.65% out of the money. Nvidia went up over 3% or $359,000 and just under the 118 call strike. So they actually have their collar, which is the standard for most of these different stocks, but then they also have a credit spread. So they sold a 114 and bought a 110. So they'll make money if this stays above that. Oklo went down over 5% or $462,000. They're even with that. No, that doesn't make sense. So that'll help. I forgot. I haven't updated these yet. So that'll drop 5% and it'll only be 3% in the money. Palantir went up almost 1.5% or $213,000. Reddit. Sorry, I'm backing up for just a second. So they have a couple of calls, a few actually, at 114, 115, and 116. So with 108, they're winning all three of those as of right now. Reddit lost 4% or $245,000. Wouldn't be surprised if these drop much more to see them close these out and open a new for next week. Rigetti Computing, that was the new one that just got added yesterday. They went down 5.5%. So right off the bat, lost $187,000 on the value of the stock, and their options for next week are getting pretty far out of the money. RH went up 3.36% or $126,000 in value added. So that actually is going to carry that into the money. I can't remember. I think that might be one of the trades for today. We'll see in just a minute. Super Microcomputers Inc. lost 1.4% or $62,000. Again, you might see them close these soon with them getting so far out of the money. Getting into the couple of leveraged funds. Direction Daily Small Cap Bull, 3 times. It performs 3 times what the small cap does. Went up 0.84% or $80,000. These are still looking just fine, and as you can see, it was only 8 cents as of yesterday, so it's going to probably decay even more so. So these are getting so cheap that they might as well close them out. ProShares Ultra Pro QQQ. I said yesterday I'd look that up. That is also a 3x leveraged fund. They went up 1.16% or $161,000. Tesla went up 0.32%, bringing the value up $40,000. Upstart, UPST, had a bad day. 9.65 to the negative, lost over $1 million in value. Vertiv Holdings went up 2.18% to $95.52, gaining $146,000. And Vistra Corp lost 3.66% or $371,000. I looked back at some of the old videos, and it seems like you can't always see that whole sell at the end. So let me slide over some. So overall, the value of all the holdings dropped $396,000, $396,443. So not bad, not a lot. Again, this is the net assets, which actually hasn't been updated because we know that the values of the stocks went down 396, but the values of these options will have fluctuated too. So that's why we're not looking at that as of right now. But ULTY closed at 596, like we said. One other thing to note is as of yesterday, they added 700,000 more shares. So that means your whatever total that they come up with on income is going to get divided out by more shares. So that would bring it to less, but it gave them more money. I'm assuming that's where the more money came from to open new position in the Rigetti. Okay, so we'll look at trades. And we download the trades from YieldMax's website. ULTY didn't have a lot, small amount there, so we'll switch over to putting them in our chart. So with Reddit, they just closed out the call at 125 because it was getting so cheap, 13 cents, and opened a new one still within the same week at 113, and that netted them a profit of 36,850. SMCI, they actually closed out their positions for this week at 37.50 and 27.50. As you can see, they were getting cheap. They got to buy these back for 8 cents and sell these for 10 cents, so they even made money closing out the position. So that was a huge win. Let's see if I'm not going to do this every time, but if we see that SMCI, yep. So they sold that call for 71 cents a share and bought it back for 8 cents a share. So they collected 95,850, and then they paid 10,000 to close it. So that was a win. And then these puts really aren't meant to make money, but they got to even make money there. So that was an overall good one. And then they opened up positions closing next Friday, actually brought down their strike price to 34 and 26, and again collected similar money to last week. So overall, they netted positive $75,600 on their trades for the day. Upstart, they bought to close their 61 calls, and they opened up 49.50, still within the same week. Again, as the stock was dropping, these got cheaper to close, so they closed them and still wanted to make some money this week. So Upstart made a profit of $137,000 today on trades. And Vistra Corp closed out their calls and puts, so the collars for this week at 148 and 120, and they opened new ones expiring next week at 142 and 120. So they kept the same put, but they lowered the strike price on their call. So again, these will be wins, and overall they made $163,800. So that totals for today a positive $413,000 in trading and a negative $396,000 in market value of the stocks themselves. So just a recap. So I started covering ULTY a little bit late, so I didn't get the first couple of trading days into it. So let's see, that would be Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So I really only missed Wednesday because since they declare on Wednesday, then the trades that they make on Wednesday wouldn't go towards that dividend or distribution. It would go towards the next. So I really only missed one. But if we take a look right in their trades, they lost 1.1 million, 2.1 million, 2 million, and then made 300,000. But on those same days, their share values made 3.6, 9.5, lost 3.1, and lost 579. So if we totaled those all up, they made 4.4 million. Okay, and if we divided that by the amount of outstanding shares, it came out to 11 cents. Now that's not necessarily. I'll be able to put a little bit more into it next week since I'll have the full week. But if we just did that, it came out to an 11 cents a share estimate if they were going to do that. Now I know the other YieldMax funds promise a 90% payout, so I don't know that. Maybe they had a little extra left over, or maybe they just had a really good last Wednesday before we started tracking to be able to pay out 11.81. But if you've had ULTY for any amount of time, this is a nice one, right? We've been used to getting 8 and 9 cent per share distributions. So for a less than $6 share price, getting 11.81, that actually comes out to over 100% a year if you got 11.81 52 weeks out of the year. So very nice. And starting out the next week to the positive, right? Not by a lot, but hey, we'd rather be positive than negative. Okay, what else did we want to look at before we were done? Thought I had something else to show you. I might not. I might be done. Oh, no, I do want to. So we'll just talk about real quick all the announced distributions for the day. So as far as we'll start with the weekly. So these get paid out every week. So CHPY, 37 cents. Okay. GPTY, 27 cents. LFGY, 75 cents. QDTY, 28 cents. RDTY, 46 cents. SDTY, 27 cents. And ULTY, 11 cents. But as you can see, so LFGY was another big one, right? 100%. A lot of these have a much higher share price, so that's why these distributions come out the 30s and 40s and 50%. But these two came out over 100%, so you can't beat that. YMAG, 10 cents. I own shares of YMAG as well. YMax, 16 cents. And then you get into the Group D funds that every 4 weeks, and this was their week. So 32 cents for AIYY, 79 cents for AMZY, 65 cents for APLY, 52 cents for DISO, $2.37 for MSTY. And if you were following me, I got my shares called away last Friday, so I'm pretty bummed about that. SMCY paid $1.41, WNTR $2.71, XYZY 41 cents, and YQQQ 43 cents. So MSTY overall out of all of them paying out what would come out to be an annual rate of 125%. So that's my luck, but oh well. I think that's everything. For some reason, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but this is getting long. So if you stuck around, I will try to give you the dad joke of the day. My daughter read it to me a little while ago, but when I walked away, I didn't bring it with me. So it was, how do you make a waterbed bouncier? You just got to use spring water. All right, thank you. It's getting late. Have a good night. I'll make another video tomorrow. And so today was the last day you could buy these funds to collect the dividend. Tomorrow is X date. So don't quote me on this, but I believe you could actually sell tomorrow and still collect the dividend. I wouldn't, but I believe that's the way it works. And on Friday, it'll be payday. So thanks for sticking around. Please like and share, comment, subscribe, all those things. And criticisms welcome as well. So if you've got feedback for me, zoomed in too far, not far enough, need to make some changes, whatever you got. And if you want, I don't know, tell me how many shares of ULTY you got. I've got 300, so I'm getting 300 times 1181. So, all right, that'll be the end of it. Good night.